Hello, and thank you so much for joining me for this WNCT Now digital news update. I'm Emily Severidge, live in our digital studio. Earlier this afternoon, Governor Roy Cooper and his coronavirus task force held a news conference. Cooper announced that more than $12 million from the COVID-19 Recovery Act will expand high-access internet to 11 different rural counties. Let's go ahead and take a listen.
For some families, the challenge of distance learning is even greater due to the lack of reliable internet. Today, I'm announcing $12 million to expand internet access through two programs, the GREAT Grant Program and COVID-19 Recovery Act funding. This money is expected to connect an additional 8,000 families and more than 250 businesses, farms, and community institutions in 11 counties. The GREAT Grant Program provides matching grants to internet service providers and cooperatives to expand high-speed internet service in counties that need it. Even before this pandemic, expanding high-speed internet access was a top priority for my administration. Now that we're living in a socially distant world, reliable internet is more important than ever. For students learning remotely and people working from home, internet access is an absolute must-have. And we'll continue working hard to expand it to every part of our state.
The NCED cloud is functioning again after another reported outage this morning. The state's learning system had technical difficulties today following a crash on the first day of school on Monday. Superintendent Mark Johnson released the following statement after the system was back up and running. Superintendent Johnson says it's bad enough that so many students don't have the option to attend school in person, but malfunctions of the tools that so many schools use to access remote learning are simply unacceptable. Parents, educators, and students are all doing the best that they can and deserve technology that works. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration is giving North Carolina a share of nearly $80 million in national safety grants. The U.S. Department of Transportation's agency is giving the money to states and educational institutions. They'll use the money to enhance commercial motor vehicle safety. North Carolina's share of funding is just under $2 million. Federal officials say the grants are part of the Trump administration's commitment to reducing crashes and improving safety on American roadways. Stay with us and we'll be right back with some more news after this short break. Thanks so much for joining me. If you're just tuning in, I'm Emily Severidge, live in our digital studio, providing you with a late afternoon update. North Carolina's State Fire Marshal Mike Cousy is warning families to take steps to prevent home fires caused by clothes dryers. Cousy points to two recent house fires tied to dryers in the town of Spring Lake, North Carolina. He says there are some simple tips to take with your dryer at home to prevent these types of fires. His advice includes not using a dryer without a lint filter, cleaning the filter before or after each load of laundry, and removing lint collected around the drum. If your dryer has been taking longer than normal to dry your clothes, you should clean the lint out of the vent pipe yourself or have a removal service do it for you. Don't overload your dryer and turn off your dryer if you leave home or are going to bed. A Hickory firefighter is returning home after serving in the Middle East with the North Carolina National Air Guard. Firefighter Jonathan Fox served as a military firefighter in the 386th Expeditionary Wing of the U.S. Air Force. Fox was the crew chief on a rescue truck at fire stations on a Middle East air base used in the war against terrorism in Afghanistan and Iraq. The Hickory Fire Department says it is thankful to have Jonathan back. Well, that wraps up this WNCT Now late afternoon update. I'm Emily Severidge, live in our digital studio, and we'll have more news coming up for you tonight on our broadcast at 5 and 6. Thank you so much for watching.